Welcome to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast for Christian real estate agents, where we help you grow your business with great marketing tips and grow your faith with powerful, radical faith Bible teaching. I'm Beatty Carmichael, and I'm glad you joined us. Today, we're going to be talking about growing your business with some great marketing tips. So, let's get started. Well, hey, this is Beatty Carmichael with Get Sellers Calling You, and I wanted just to have a honest conversation of what to expect with this market shift. Because as we've spoken to a number of agents and we see what's going on in the field, we read all the news reports, same ones that you read. Interest rates are going up and they're continuing to go up. They've now doubled what it was a year ago. In fact, I think I was reading an article today that the average home price in terms of the cost of paying for a home with mortgage interest, payments and everything is 75% more than it was a year ago. Okay, so that means that generally speaking, for the average person, what they can afford, they can now afford $100,000 less home than they could have a year ago. And it's creating a lot of what we call market shift. And this market shift is creating a lot of concern and fright and fear among a lot of agents. And the other agents are bracing up and saying, this is great. We're going to get rid of a lot of competitors and I'm going to grow market share. So I wanted just to do a short monologue podcast. Okay. I don't do these normally. Normally, as you know me, I try to interview someone, try to give a predetermined presentation of some sort if I'm doing the teaching. But this is just kind of I'll call it a fireside chat. Okay, or maybe a better way, a computer screen chat, because that's where I am, in front of the computer screen. And if you're just listening to this on audio, then I'm just right along with you in the car. So I was sharing with some other folks the other day, and I wanted to give you the essence of what I shared with them, because this, I think, is one of the greatest opportunities for you if you handle it right. This is either a time of fear or a time of strategy. And just like Peter walking on the water, watch this. It's the same incident, the same activity, two completely different outcomes. If he walked on the water by faith and he kept his eyes on Jesus, a miracle occurred and he walked on the water. But as soon as he takes his eyes off Jesus and he gets afraid, then he sinks. And the same thing can happen to you as a real estate agent. How do you handle this coming shift? And it was real interesting. I spoke with two top producing agents recently. Both of them have been selling for over 20 years. One for about 27 years, the other one like 40 some odd years. And I was asking them, so what are you going to do with this market shift? They said, nothing. Just going to keep on doing the same thing, right? It's just consistency creates consistency. Consistency in what you do in best practices continues to create consistencies in driving business. And I wanted to share a couple of thoughts. Okay. So I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. There's a suburb here called Vestavia. It's got 13,000 households, 13,000 homes. And back during the Great Recession, you remember that, for those, some of y'all do, 2007, 2008, the credit crisis, everything collapses, right? And at this time, there's an agent over here named Mike Wald. He still is an agent. And my understanding is Mike was just a nominal agent. He didn't have any great market share. He was just a normal agent, right? And when the market shift came and a lot of people got scared, Mike did something different. In fact, if you typically want to know the right thing to do, you look at what the masses are doing and you do just the opposite, okay? I call it, you look at where the cattle goes, and wherever the cattle is racing to, then you go the other direction. And what Mike did is he started to market for more business. He started to work on getting more listings. And as the agents exited the industry because they could not survive, they didn't know what to do, everything shifted, right? This is a huge crash. Then Mike started to pick up market share. And by the time we came out of the Great Recession, Mike was at that time the number one selling real estate in our entire Vestavia suburb. And he has kept that position for the last 10 years, all but maybe one or two times. but he's now jostling with one other agent, but he's typically number one. And here's what's interesting. It's not necessarily that Mike is a better agent. I don't know if he's a better agent for the seller or not. But what I do know is Mike has the mind share dominance. He didn't, but he does now. And the only thing that happened was a market shift. They got rid of his competitors. So that meant all of the market share that those other competitors were eating up in terms of just they get a listing from their mom, they get a listing from their friend, or they're marketing into this area and they pick up another listing from someone else. All of those people who got scared and exited, they left their market share for those who stayed around. And Mike stayed around. And not only did he stay around, but he took opportunity to be aggressive to increase market share by increasing marketing to get more listings. I was talking to another agent, and his name is Stuart. And every time he's entered a market shift, so he remembers the high interest rates, when they're 13 and 17% interest. Try selling real estate when you have 13 and 17% interest rate. That makes today sound really simple because we're only at 7%, or maybe just shy. I think it's 6.9 something annual percentage rate for a 30-year fixed right now. So we're less than 7%. And yet, he made money going into that market shift and made more money coming out of it. In fact, he was sharing with me, I did an interview, I'll direct you to it in just a moment, but he was sharing that in every single market shift that he's been in since the Carter days, he has earned more money going into the shift and multiple times more money coming out of the shift. In other words, it's not that you have to be afraid. It's time for either fear or strategy. And depending on which way you operate, with fear or with strategy, is going to determine whether you fail or whether you succeed, right? And don't be like those people who exited during the credit crisis. Be like Mike Wald and become the market share dominating agent. Because once you start to get market share, what happens is then it takes a whole lot less effort to maintain it, because now your name is out there. They see your signage and see your name on all the signs. They see you everywhere, and they must think that you're an amazing agent because everyone's using you. So you have all this social proof that they see you all the time. They see their neighbors using you. So then when it comes time to sell their home, guess what happens? They're going to choose you. Now, I was also reading some interesting posts in some Facebook groups, and one person said, with the market rates going up, the interest rates going up, and it's taking longer to sell homes, I'm preparing my homeowners. It may take a year to sell your home. And I've gone on my, this agent was saying, I've updated my listing contract to a 12-month contract. And what that was is an agent who doesn't understand marketing, right? Who doesn't understand market dynamics. Is it doesn't have to be a year to sell a house. It's simply supply and demand. Granted, it's not the 2 days to sell a house with 5 different offers like it was, a year ago. But homes will still sell at a decent amount of time and at a fair market price if you price it right. So we don't have to get afraid of all of these things, and we don't have to do a knee-jerk reaction and think, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. All you have to do is start to say what needs to happen, and how do you stay active on it? How do you keep moving forward? And most importantly, how do you start to pick up the market share from all those other agents, the cattle that are racing away because something scared them? Something went boo, and so they're all running away, and you're standing around all by yourself in this great big field, lush with all this beautiful green grass, and you say, well, I'm going to have a heyday today. No pun intended. Actually, pun was intended. I'm going to have a heyday today. I get to eat it all by myself. Now you get to become a fat calf, a fat cow instead of a slender cow, because all your competition left. You get to eat whatever you want if you're willing to stay. And if you're willing to stay, then I would encourage you to stay by faith, right? Trust the Lord's going to provide for you. Trust the Lord that this is an opportunity for you to say, I'm going to do best practices to grow my business right now. And I'm going to trust, Lord, that you're going to give me more business because all these other agents are operating by fear. They're leaving. In fact, some of them may not be leaving, but what is interesting And this is not a plug for what we do. It's just that we see the market dynamics as we sell our postcard services. And would you be willing to believe that more agents are hesitating right now to spend money in marketing? Why? Because they don't know what's going to happen in the future. I can tell you what's going to happen in the future because I can see the future right now. People are going to still sell homes and people are going to still buy homes. There's more homes that people want to buy than they're able to buy. And there are homes that people live in that they're going to have to sell because of death, divorce, they get transferred, they outgrow it or they undergrow it. They need cash, whatever it is, and there's always going to be a market for someone to buy a home and someone to sell a home. The key is, are you going to be there to become the listing agent, or are you going to pull back and say, I'm going to wait and see what's going to happen? When you already know what's going to happen, people are still going to sell homes and others are going to still buy them. And so why pause? And again, this isn't trying to say, hey, come buy services from us. I'm saying at a very high level, the time to increase your marketing and increase whatever you do in reaching out to your contacts to get more business, to generate listings, to get market share dominance is right now. Because all of your competition, the vast majority of it, they are scared and they are paralyzed and they are sitting down. And if you're willing to stand up and run, you're going to win the race a lot easier because you don't have the competitors chasing you down. And if you start doing marketing, whether it's marketing to your past clients and sphere of influence, whether it's marketing to a geographic farm, to a niche market, or anywhere else, you're going to be, the only guy standing, or if you're a woman, the only only girl standing, right? It's going to be you're the only one there, and that means that they're going to take notice of you a lot more. And the key is to stay there, to be strategic, but stay there. So what do you do? What are some simple action items if you really want to now start to take over market share? Most important is you need to stay really close to your past clients and sphere of influence. That is the number one source. In fact, a study was done a number of years back, and they found that statistically, that if you stayed properly in touch with your past clients and sphere of influence, the people who know you, out of every group of 100 people, you would generally average about 17 sales a year from that 100 group of people. Okay. Now, there's some dynamics within that, and let me share some dynamics. Number one, if you just sold a home to someone 3 years ago and they just got maybe refinanced last year at 3%, they're not going to be selling anytime soon. Keep a relationship, but don't focus on them. Okay. But if you have someone that you just closed a sale with recently, did you know that statistically, within 12 months of a seller selling their home, they refer their agent 2 times? Now, it may not be the referral that gets back to the agent, but they mention to at least 2 people and encourage 2 people who are thinking about selling to go call their friend who just helped them. That's statistically from NAR study. On the same NAR study, if it's a buyer, if you helped a buyer buy a home, then 92% of those people attempt to refer their agent 1 time. And why do I use this word attempt? Because they don't really know how to. But here's the message of this all, okay? And this goes back to the study where they found out of the 100 people of the people that you know, past clients and sphere of influence, if you're staying in touch with them frequently and top of mind and building the relationship, that statistically, this means out of thousands of agents, this is the average that they generated. Statistically, it was 17 sales a year. Generally, about half of those are referred and half of those are direct. Okay. So why is this important as it relates to the first 12 months? Because the people you want to build a really good relationship with, let them know you like them as a friend and just reach out to them, are going to be what I call your recent past clients. Those within 12 months, because those are the ones. Here's what happens. In fact, we just sold our home 5 years ago and moved into the home that we live in now. And you know what the topic of conversation for that first year was with a lot of our friends? Well, Tell me about your moving experience. How did you like it? Who did you use? Okay. What did you do? In other words, because they knew that we moved, then those people that we were engaging with that were thinking about selling would always ask us questions. And we would then share with them what we did and make a, you ought to call this agent, right? Because they did a great job for us. That all happens with recent past clients. Once you have a past client that's 5 years past client, they're not talking to people about buying and selling like they do within that first year. So your target is going to be those people within the first 12 months. Staying in touch with them, best practices, and really engaging. Then you also want to take that list of past clients and sphere of influence and be strategic with it. Who are those people that fit into two categories? One category primarily, but two. Number one is what I call the influencers. Those people that have a circle of influence that can help you identify other people thinking about selling or buying. So an influencer might be the bank teller because she deals with or they deal with repeat customers all the time. They see them all the time. They talk with them all the time. Hey, Miss Brown, how are you doing? How's the cat? Okay, they're having that conversation. Or hairdressers, or football coaches, high school coaches type thing, or maybe the band leader, or the choir director, or the person who just they know everybody. They're the life of the party. They have this huge social network and they're just constantly moving around within that social network. Those are going to be the people I call influencers. You also have people like attorneys, your divorce attorneys and your probate, your estate type of attorneys, things of that sort. And then within that list, you also have those people. The second ingredient is those people who really like you and the relationship is really strong. When you have those two things connected together, you got an amazing referral source. So if you have a connector that doesn't really like you, then your number one objective is to build a relationship. The way you build a relationship is very simple, and I'm not going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you where to get it. If you write down the name Tony Fiore, Fiore. I did an interview with Tony a while back. In fact, we just reposted his interview on our podcast just the last couple of months, I think. And go back and listen to his um, uh, information. And then there's another one named Jenny Williams. Jenny was real interesting because she was an agent. She kept her license but stopped selling for about 12 years. Then she got back into real estate and she just maintained relationships with key people. And by the time she got back in real estate 12 years later, within 2 months, she was getting like two or three listings every single month from referrals from her connector referrals, okay, that she'd maintained for 12 years. So it's a great source. And when you have those connectors, what happens is when the market shifts and your competitors go away, you're still there. And those competitors that may have taken some of those sales that your connectors know, you'll now pick up. So that's the first thing that you do. Best practices is focus on your past clients and sphere of influence. The second thing to do is to be strategic with how can you start to reach out to another list of people you've never met. We all call it geographic farming because that's the easiest way to do it. You just kind of pick a neighborhood, but it doesn't have to be a geographic farm. It could be a niche farm. It could be maybe homes on the golf course, right? Or it could be homes on the lake, not on the other side of the street where it's not lakefront, but lakefront. Anywhere where it's a niche. And then you can start to market there consistently and start to become kind of the niche expert. But the most important thing is to start marketing, to start to reach out, to start to build your brand and be there all the time and start to pick up the listings that all your competitors are leaving because they're either exiting the industry or they're sitting down because they're scared. Interest rates are going up. The home sales are slowing down. Oh my gosh. I don't mean to be pathetic. I don't mean to be, what's the word? I forget the word, but I don't mean to be critical on this, but let me put it in perspective. Do you realize it was just 4 years ago? The average home was taking about 45 to 90 days on the market. The average list of sales was probably about 92 or 94%. And right now, we're concerned that list to sales ratio has gone from 105% down to 98%. And we're concerned that the days on market went from 5 days to now it's 45 days. In other words, what I'm saying is we're back to where it used to be. And there was a lot of money to be made and a lot of agents doing really, really well. So this is a good thing, not a bad thing. And I just want to really stress, don't get afraid. Don't follow the crowd and sit down and run away. Follow the eagles that charge ahead and go after what they want. And I'll kind of leave you with two things. One is a little saying, you probably heard it. Good things come to those who wait. But let me tell you the rest of it. Here's a rule that's slicker. It's only those things left behind by those who are quicker, right? The other thing is, if you want to understand how do you build a business in market shifts, then I've got 2 podcasts that we did. If you're listening to this by audio, you can just go straight to them. The best one, the one I like the best, is podcast number 61, okay? And then the second one is podcast number 124. So you can just slide through them. I forget the titles, but 61 and 124. If you want to come to our website, maybe you're just watching this online, you just go to our website at Get Sellers Calling You, and in the search bar, if you simply type the word market shift, one word, don't put any spaces, market shift as one word, then both of those podcasts will come straight up because I've already programmed the system to look for that keyword that you can bring up. And I hope that will encourage you. So don't lose hope. Have faith in the Lord. Trust Him. He put you in business here, and He's got you here for a reason. And these market shifts are going to happen. So you might as well make the best of it, which is grow your market share while everyone else is getting afraid. And you'll come out on the other end making more money, being a larger agent, and thinking how great you are and how smart you were because everyone else weren't. And then you'll have to realize, no, you weren't smart. You were just brave, right? You did the right thing and you didn't panic and you just kept doing the thing that you should be doing all along. And here's the last thing. I keep saying last thing, but things that come to mind. I remember talking to one agent. In fact, this was podcast 124. It's my friend, Stuart Sutton. And I was asking him about market shifts. And he said, now that the market is shifting, what are you going to do? Stuart said, nothing different. He said, I can't control market shifts. I can control what I do. And I'm going to keep doing the same thing that continues to get me listings. Because, and this is a real interesting thing, you'll hear this. He said, at the time that I met Stuart, this was back in 2012, he was carrying between 55 and 60 listings a month because that's what was needed in order to generate the 120 sales a year that he did. He says now, to make the same money or more, I only have to carry about 4 listings. Okay, and this was a couple of months ago when we did that podcast. And he said, so when the market shift changes, I just determine how many listings do I need to have, and then I increase my marketing to get those number of listings. And that's how his income just stays very, it keeps going up. So hope this helps. Please visit our website further, getsellerscallingyou.com. A lot of great resources there. If you do have interest in geographic farming, then if you type in on our website under the search bar, GeoFarm, okay, GeoFarm, no spaces, then there's there's a number of things that come up. They're all focused on maximizing results in geographic farming. But the one to look for, the most important one, is how do you select the right geographic farm? And if you'll go listen to those, they're just some very short audios, probably 3 or 4 minutes each. I think there's 2 or 3 of them. Then that will help you make a right decision in a geographic farm if that's going to be the strategy you take. Hope this helps. Have a very blessed day, and see you on the next podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please do 2 things. Number 1, please share this on social media so other people can enjoy it. And number 2, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to either our YouTube channel or our podcast audio channel that you'll find on any audio player with your mobile phone. And then that way you won't miss another episode. Also, if you want help generating listings, please visit our website at agentdominator.com where we guarantee them or give your money back. Thanks again for listening to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast, and have a very blessed day.